Mulong just now mentioned about F&B. I think this is probably the top concern of everyone, right? No food, logistic, with the country lockdown, no logistic to send food here and there. All right. So, yeah, I understand that you actually work with quite a number of like clients in the F&B sector from all around the world. So, what have you observed in the data that you have collected or heard from your clients on the impact in the F&B sector? Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
sure. We work
Mhm.
with a lot of industries, the farming, manufacturing, and retail. The farming industry surprisingly has been maintaining quite stable because right now the farming season, the harvesting season has just started in many different areas. We have seen poultry, pork, and dairy farming. They're continuously growing their harvesting with their yield. But one of the industries we have seen the most movement out of all of them has been the warehouse. I believe this is one of the biggest reasons has been many of the that scares that happening around the Asia region, even in America, where you go to a warehouse and they need to move influx of all the things they've been storing back to the retail sector because people are panic buying items, panic buying rice. You said in Singapore back in February, people were buying a bunch of rice and then it disappeared and then it came back on the next day. We have also seen in many countries, if many people don't know, there is a national reserve warehouse. This is where they keep enough supplies and dry goods to be able to maintain the city from surviving. These warehouses, they have seen a lot of movements. We have seen huge traffic from the temperature and humidity data points we have collected. But one of the areas we have seen that's most peculiar specs has been on the retail space. This is because there's two situations occurring. Number one, there is a heavy traffic load in particular days, especially when there's the panic buys happening, and then we see a very big downgrade of activity happening. And this is also because many countries are quarantined themselves, so they have less manpower to be able to monitor this airspace. So what we have is we have a lot of perishable goods moving from the warehouse space to the retail end, and we don't have enough manpower to be able to monitor. Which happens is that these produce are being lowering their shelf life by 1 day to 2 days, which means that we have to throw them faster because we have a huge demand of goods in the previous week, and the next week we have the goods demand decreasing. So this is what we have been seeing so far.
Right. So, like even like all countries, they follow suit lah. So everybody are panic buying. So whenever there's a release of like news, yeah, here and there, yeah. So, not just about food, not just about panic buying. We have been advised to keep a social distancing. Okay. So many large physical events have been cancelled because of this. Understand that Spark Amplify have been working with many event organizers or even companies who attend like large events, so such as like CS, MWC. From a media perspective, what other alternatives can businesses adopt to ensure that their product launch announcement as such, right, can be scheduled as planned? So when they plan it, they can still announce it. Yeah. So what other alternative can they do? Shane,
Yeah.
please.
So thank you, Jocelyn. So yeah, you're right. I mean, especially during this time, I think a lot of the offline physical events are being affected. And usually these offline events, it also encompasses a lot of things, right? Because you have the exhibitors, you also have the buyers that attend the events, you also have the media people that sort of tell the stories, right? And so like for example, um, recently, I mean, yeah, a chain of events have been canceled. Starting with MWC, something that's sort of the domino effect, right? MWC has been around for the past 33 years, and in fact, this time around, the event was canceled literally like 2 weeks before the event. And from my understanding, I think a lot of the there was no refund too. So yeah, you can imagine the effects of it. And initially, a lot of big companies sort of pulled out, and but what really affected was a lot of these these small medium sized startups, because a lot of times they look forward to these events because for their product launches. So for exhibitors, this is their time to showcase. This is the time for them to shine. On the media side, obviously, I think it's about promotion, right? It's about content creation. It's about satisfying their readers, And so whenever these type of events they get canceled, I think yeah, there's a lot of repercussion, right? And so on Spark Amplify end, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier before, we are a marketplace, we are an online, platform where we try to connect the brands and the media online. So our business model from day one, which I founded a company 3 years ago, we were trying to get a lot of these offline physical activities online because we know, like, the physical stuff. I think there's always limitations aside from this pandemic, yeah, even before that, I mean, you know, sometimes the media people they can't be at many places at once, right? And so and then also at the same time, a lot of these events, not everyone or not all the media could be at that one location. So so for example, I mean, yeah, let me just share with you guys what we did. I mean, at Spark Amplified, especially with this slew of events are being canceled for NWC, what we did was we did an on-demand press conference, essentially allowing the show must go on, right? Yeah, even though the physical show was canceled, we tried to sort of bring that type of flavor on the internet, allowing a lot of these, especially these small, medium-sized businesses or startups that was really looking forward to this event, potentially for media coverage, to still be able to do this. And so, on the flip side, I think on the media side of it, obviously, they're in it for the stories, right? By having an event canceled, they can't write stories anymore about the latest technologies on the mobile and so forth. So what we did was we basically put together this conference and allowing yeah, the media folks to still be able to look at some of the top technologies from some of the top companies, and also at the same time allowing the companies themselves to still exhibit their showcase. And so when you look at, let's say for example, Xpeer, when you look at their profile, basically what we do is we try to take them, uh, once if a media is interested in this company, then they get to look at their profile. But this profile essentially is like their virtual display, virtual exhibition. It tells the media what they're doing, where they're located, what they're doing in terms of their upcoming plans, even some quotes from some of the founders. So if the media are really interested in a story, if they want to write about it, they can pick up the quotes from here. Even a founder story in terms of why did work on this. As we know, a lot of times media are interested in the story itself, potentially not so much on the technology, but the story behind the story, right? And also in terms of some of the key product features and so forth. So as you can see at Spark Amplify, what we try to do is essentially take that same experience, hopefully, to on a virtual level, but more so allowing the media folks to still be able to find the stories that they were planning to write anyway if the event was to be held. But now that it's canceled, but they can still be able to find some of these key stories that they can bring back and also share with their readers. And so, getting back to Jesselyn, your question, I mean, with this, coronavirus, I think it is about, the digital transformation, right? What worked in the past, potentially it worked before, but now it's a good, yeah, it's a good timing for, for all businesses, small or big, to really rethink about potentially, you know, uh, transforming their digital marketing process, online, or maybe even thinking about those type of strategies.
Okay. So maybe not just the strategy online. So in your opinion, what is the tipping point where businesses should change the whole business model? So what are the signs that they should look out for, or the characteristic of the business itself? What do you think, Jim?
Well, I think just on our end. I mean, recently we've been pretty inundated with requests. I mean, because a lot of our customers, they're coming back to us to to really rethink about that strategy, right? Like in the past, I mean, what worked, it worked, right? The events, the shows go on, and they do what they do. They bring the their product to the events, and they showcase it the traditional way. But now, for the next 6 months, I presume there are probably not going to be any big events available, right? But business needs to go on. They still need to be able to do their business development. They still need to be able to do lead prospecting. They still need to be able to, explore new markets. So I think essentially, I mean, this is the market force at play, right? Business need to survive, and they need to figure out ways to be able to continue on doing what they were doing before, but in a different way. And so for us, I think, we're also, learning as we go. Like, for example, what we're doing right here with webinar is another thing. Okay, a lot of the events that we currently were seeing before, some of our customers are actually putting it on web now, on webinars. I have a customer out in the Bay Area that that they were, thinking of doing a product launch event physically, but it's not possible anymore. So they're doing it online. And so I think it's, I think, where we are right now, we're eventually going to happen anyway. But because of this coronavirus, it really accelerated the process. And I think, okay, if we are optimistic and we look at it positively, I think this may be an opportunity rather than a, yeah.
Yeah, I
Maybe,
agree with you. That's a very good opportunity. I mean, there are many opportunities that people can, leverage on at this stage.